was on the board of ITV at 32. I was in male-dominated worlds doing well. But I was also splitting up with my kid's dad, and I was also really struggling with mental health. And I said, I'm a single parent of 2 kids. One of my kids has special needs. I sit in the boardroom every day. It's too late. I've backed my horse in life. And she just looked at me and she said, Cally, I'm 81. What's stopping you? They say, don't they, that you give your kids roots and you give them wings. Mm-hmm. It's such an odd thing, parenting, but it's the only job in the world, isn't it, where the better you do it, the more redundant you're going to be.
Hello and welcome to Second Act, the podcast and community for women in midlife who refuse to fade into the background. I'm your host, Ateh Jewel, and I'll be speaking to celebrity guests about the moment they knew they were in their second act and how they're changing the game in their next one. Our guest for this week's episode is comedian Cally Beaton. She had a rather unusual entry into comedy as she left behind a lucrative corporate career to make it as a comedian. Cally is the poster woman for midlife reinvention, and I can't wait to talk to her. I'm a super fan. Cally Beaton, welcome to Second Act. Cally Beaton, I am overexcited for this one. Thank you for joining us on Second Act.
My total pleasure. And I know this is also an audio medium, but isn't it lovely that we have come dressed in appropriate colours for your makeup, my book? We're just on brand, pink and green.
We must always go out together.
We just look
in colours.
Yeah.
You're wearing green, I'm wearing my pink, and we just look gorgeous together like our products.
We do. We're very good. It's just in us, isn't it?
It's in us.
Help
Well,
ourselves.
I immediately warm to you. I know all our listeners are going to get such juicy, fabulous conversation. So let's kick off. Could you summarise your first act in just 3 words?
Just getting started.
I love that. Talk to me, because we, as a proud Gen X woman, and you're Gen X as well, I was always taught that it was the end of the rainbow at 40. So talk to me. What does that mean to you?
Well, let me tell you this as someone who's 10 years older than you. The end of the rainbow keeps moving, and it's going to keep moving. So don't worry about the end of the rainbow. I think that I was certainly brought up as a little girl growing up in the 70s. I think you sort of saw people in their 40s, and they look, I mean, to be fair, they did dress very differently, and they behaved differently as compared to women in midlife today.
Look at the Golden Girls. They were all 40s.
I know.
And they looked it was wild.
And if you look back at the Golden Girls now, I do some material about them. In fact, the Golden Girls are in my book, because when I realised they were younger than me, I was like, what? And then I looked back, I was like, but they look superb. Mm. They're dressed like old women, but they're the way they are and also what they were doing. I was like, they're actually feminist icons. Mm. So I think we were very much I was brought up to really not think beyond. I wasn't brought up to marry the right person, so that was unusual for, I think, I was born in the 60s. Most of my contemporaries were brought up thinking they should meet the right man, marry well. No one ever said that to me, so I have never married, let alone well. I was not told, go to university to meet a man or anything like that. So I'm thankful.
Why?
I don't know, but I'm very glad it was never said. I never thought about it. Always made my own way, and I'm very grateful that that's what I've done.
Was that messaging from your mum or your dad, or both?
I just think it just never got said. I did go to a boys' school where my parents taught. They taught at a boys' boarding school.
That's good.
I think maybe the upside of that was that I grew up not massively conforming to a gender stereotype, because if there was a gender I was conforming to, it would have been being a boy. So I do know that when I then ended up in boardrooms and then in stand-up comedy, and I've generally been in male-dominated environments, it's only belatedly I've thought, I don't think I did think I was less than them, or I should wait my turn. I think I was like, yeah, I'm one of the boys, make way.
I love that. Makes total sense. It's like Madonna said, she could be who she was because her mother died young.
Yeah.
So in a funny way,
you
didn't have the indoctrination of what a woman should be.
Yes, I think you're right. And I think I did very much forge my way in a more sort of gender neutral or even quite boyish way. And I didn't really have, now I think female friends are what makes the world go round, and women are what make the world go round. I love spending time in the company of women of all ages. But I never really relied on female solidarity until I became a mum. And then I met some mums through like a, whatever it was, breastfeeding group or something. I was like, oh, it's really nice hanging out with other mums. And that's when that opened the floodgates to me hanging out with women more. But I wasn't trying not to. I think I just gravitated to boys always and men, but as friends. So, yeah, I think I maybe hadn't thought of it like that, but I think perhaps I was quite liberated from that. But I do think that ageism comes into. I've always noticed sexism, and now I notice ageism as well. And I think there is an assumption, a really well articulated assumption, that women should recede a bit out of the limelight as they get older, which is why it's so brilliant that there are people like you doing what you're doing in the world, because it's all about, excuse me? I think we might challenge that assumption. So, I don't know about you, but the women I know over 40, whenever anyone says to me, you don't look like you're 56, I'm like, well, you should meet more 56-year-olds then, because we're all out living our lives, doing stuff, having a great time. I think that's just midlife women. We're sort of, living our lives.
This is exactly it. And I think I love what you said. I think we are redefining what 50... You look exactly like a 56, which is beautiful, glamorous, fabulous.
And that's shiny because it's a hot day.
But I think, we're redefining, because when people say that, what they're really meaning is you don't look like the stereotypes we've all been brought up.
You don't look like my Auntie Mabel from the 1940s, is what they're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think it's also, I don't know about you, but I'm on the one hand, it's so tempting. Like when we met, I was like, no, you can't be 47, and you're like, you can't be 56. It's kind of, it's true as well. Like we're saying it because it means something. But a part of me thinks, what if we did? What if I looked 20 years older than 56? Who cares? It shouldn't matter as well. So, it's our choice, isn't it? How we look and what we want to do with it. But yeah, I think it's just life. We're all going to work for 50 or 60 years. Our kids are going to be having 60-year-long careers. Well, we better hope they'll keep reinventing, or they're going to get really bored.
Exactly. And you have to push the dial a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
If you were to give yourself a report card from your first act, what would it say?
Well, I think my report card would say the kind of the opposite of what is often said in school report cards. It would say, could try less hard. Ooh. As opposed to could try harder, because it would probably still say a bit too talkative. But the could try less hard, I think that much as I'm proud of the things I've done in my life, I don't know a midlife woman who hasn't done amazing things in their life. I've yet to ever have a conversation with a midlife woman that isn't a fascinating story, more than one fascinating story. And I think that sometimes we think that if we keep achieving, we never drop the ball, we've got to achieve this, do that, look great, earn loads, do things no one else has ever done before, run a marathon, launch a new product, look great on Instagram. It's just exhausting. And I'm more interested now in the gaps, the sort of chinks in the armour. What happens if you try a bit less hard and let things go more and have more fun and let your vulnerability out? So I think I did achieve a lot when I was younger, and was on the board of ITV at 32. I was in male-dominated worlds doing well, but I was also splitting up with my kid's dad, and I was also really struggling with mental health, but I didn't know I was. So now I think you don't need a vice-like grip on your life to prove anything to anyone else. Just keep moving forward in whatever way feels good. So I think I would say I would have been told to let go a bit more, try less hard.
Are you a perfectionist?
I'd like to say I'm a recovering perfectionist, because I'm really trying not to be one. I'm really trying to think, you're busy woman to busy woman. I'm sure you look at your diary like I do some weeks and you're like, I don't know how it's humanly possible to do that. And then I realise my actual fear isn't that I can do those things, it's can I do them all brilliantly.
You're speaking to me and millions of others.
So then if you're like, well, okay, if I'm just saying, can I do those things? Of course I can do those things. Is every single one of them going to be the best podcast, the best book? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But I think just showing up, and Hugh Jackman said, and it made global headlines, he said, that he makes his mantra, do everything at 85%. So don't ever go to 100%. Now, if you're Hugh Jackman, I'm sure you can do 85%, still earn 85 million a minute, and it's fine. But I did like the principle of it, of this idea of what happens if we don't think we've got to burn ourselves out impressing everyone. That's a nice way to live. I
did an internal gasp. The actual concept of that is quite shocking.
85%. I mean, let's not tell our children until they've passed, especially your ones. They've still got to pass
they're
their
gearing up to GCSE.
Yeah, they need...
Babes, just give it 85%.
Yeah, 85 at best. Cally said, let go, don't worry about it, it's fine. But I think, it's about allowing ourselves to... And I do think women can be real people pleasers. We can be real perfectionists. We're carrying a huge amount of the mental load, especially, you know, I've been a single mum most of my kids' lives.
Hands up, I'm a single mum.
You're a single mum. It's not done when you finish the thing that the world sees. It's not done till your head's on the pillow, and even then,
you're doing the list for the next
the
day.
inventory, panicking, sweating, and wishing you could sleep better. Yeah.
85%.
Yeah, let's try for 85%. Obviously, on this podcast, we're going to be 100%.
Oh,
brilliant.
well, you know what? Your 85 is probably most people's 100.
Well, I think I think that's the thing to you, me, everyone listening, you know, of course our 85% is good enough, because I don't know about you, but the women I know, we just push ourselves so hard and we're doing so much. It's like, I'm sure our 85, and you know what? Maybe it gives someone else the space to step into the 15% and help out a bit.
What does second act mean to you?
For me, it has all been about a chance to try things again. So I think it was really tempting in my first act to feel like, well, I've backed this horse. This is what I'm doing. This is the life I'm living. This is the job I have. And not realizing that actually you're not even halfway through. You know, I'm really hoping, who knows, but I'm hoping that at 40, touch wood. I'm really hoping that at 40, you know, for lots of us, we won't be halfway through. Maybe some of us, we're approximately halfway through. Who knows what's around the corner? But for me, it's all about possibility and ambition and opportunity. And whatever we decide to do next, scary as it might seem, I think we take everything we've got with us. So all that wisdom, all the skills we brought up doing whatever the job was, that comes to bear in the next thing we decide to do. So we may not think we're very equipped for whatever the new thing is, but we're probably a lot more equipped than we realise. So for me, it's about change and space and opportunity. Yeah.
I love that. In Chinese medicine, they call the menopause and midlife for women second spring.
Oh, that's nice. And I love the spring. I was born in the spring.
Me too.
Yeah.
But it is that second spring. It is, you get to do it with wisdom.
Yeah, exactly. And if you think about, my son is a zookeeper, so I learn lots about the natural world from my son. And there are lots of amazing feminist role models in the natural world, as I have found out. Whether or not I wished to learn about them, I've been taught about them. And I'm always struck by orcas, and because whales are the only animals apart from humans known to go through menopause. And orcas, it's the post-menopausal grandma orcas that lead the pods, because they know where the food sources are. And it's also with the menopausal grandma orcas that the young orca bucks have their first sexual experiences. So I'm just saying, let's all be more orca.
Oh, if Bumble have anything to test.
There you go. There you go.
These young things are after me. They want to like some orca loving.
There you go. But, and you may or may not wish to be an orca teacher. I have to say, I'm always like, orca bucks. I've got stuff to do. Let's have someone who knows their way around an orca.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is, in terms of wisdom and the wise female elders, we're moving into that space, and that's a cool space to be in.
And being a village elder, an orca elder, is not revered, especially in this part of the world.
No, I think we're making it revered right here, right now.
Second act.
It's second act is making it revered, but I think we should be moving towards that. There's a lot to revere in. I think older people generally, we should revere more, but older women. I mean, I don't know about you. If ever I get like stuck in a queue, or if I'm on a broken down plane, or something happens and there's an older woman, that's such a gift. You just have the best conversations. Yeah.
She's seen some shit. She's been through stuff.
Oh, she's
ready to pass it on.
And she is not shockable. You may look at her outfit and think, I better not swear. And you're like, oh, no, she's swearing.
She's seen it.
She's seen it, heard it. Nothing's bothering her.
So true. I love that. Yeah. About being an elder. What was the moment you knew you were in your second act?
Well, for me, it was a very specific moment. So it was the moment that I traded in boardroom life for treading the board. So my not everyone gets their second act ushered in by a feminist celebrity, but I used to work in film and television for many years and sat on the board of some big companies. And I used to meet some of the people who would front our shows, some of the kind of, Hollywood A-listers and so on. And we would go to trade events around the world, which I would host, and I would introduce them to the stage. And one of the people I had the immense pleasure of working with on many occasions was the late, great Joan Rivers.
Iconic.
Yeah, it was because of people like Joan Rivers we would have grown up knowing women could be funny, right? Because there weren't a lot of women doing it. And strong and subversive. I didn't realise till I started getting to know her quite how iconic she was and what she'd managed to do that was really ahead of her time. And I used to host these events. I would do the warm-up, I guess, before she would come on. And she and I had dinner together not long before she died. You may remember she very unexpectedly died from complications to surgery. So, yeah, we had dinner together. We knew each other pretty well by then. And she said I should try stand-up. She said, Cally, at the time, by the way, I was 45. She said, try stand-up. I think you could do it. And I said, I'm a single parent of 2 kids. One of my kids has special needs. I sit in the boardroom every day. It's too late. I've backed my horse in life. And she just looked at me and she said, Cally, I'm 81. What's stopping you? And then she died 2 weeks after that conversation. And the combination of that conversation and realising that life is so short propelled me to do my first ever stand-up gig a couple of weeks after that. And then I finally jettisoned the day job the year I turned 50. So I guess for me, the consolidation of that wise orca elder, Joan Rivers, telling me to do that, it all came together when the year I turned 50, and that's when I had built up enough reputation as a stand-up. I was doing telly, things were going okay. And I thought, I'm going to roll the dice now and fully let go of the, the safety chute of the salaried job, and I'm going to go be a performer. So that was a very clear moment for me. Yeah.
I love that, and God bless Joan Rivers.
Oh, God bless her.
I've always loved her, and I love her a little bit more now because she set you free.
She set me free from the bondage of corporate life, but she also set me free of a guaranteed salary just before a global pandemic shut down all the venues in the world, because that's the year I gave up, just before the pandemic. But it's all worked out okay. But do you know the thing? It's lovely that it was Joan Rivers, and that helped me get a book deal, and it's a nice story. But do you know what's really important about that story? It's not that it was Joan Rivers. It's that it was an 81-year-old woman with wisdom who took the time to see something in a younger woman and tell me what was what from her perspective. And with all that additional, those 4 more decades she'd had on the planet, that was the real power of that moment. It just is a nice show busy story. It was her. So, yeah, and if we open our eyes and ears, I reckon there are wise elders willing to back us.
That makes me really teary, because she just saw that in you and was like, she gave you permission.
Either that or she was already very ill and she wasn't seeing straight.
No, she gave you permission to be you.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. And sometimes you just need to hear it from someone older and wiser.
Well, also, I don't know, I think it's really important when we're thinking about a second act. This is the youngest and most beautiful either of us are going to be, right? Today is the youngest day we're going to have. And every day is that. And I'm really aware, having had the gift of someone telling me that at 45 I was young, I'm also really aware, my dad is 81, he's got some health stuff going on at the moment, but he still works as a musician, he still does sport. And I think my dad would give anything to be 56 and have the life I have right now. And there'll be a time before I know it, if I'm lucky enough to get to 81, where I'll think, I could have done anything I wanted in my 50s and 60s. And I notice at my shows, my core sort of audience base are women in their 30s, 40s and 50s. But I have lots of women in their 60s who come too. And I'll tell you, the good news is that they seem to be having an even better time. It seems to be like the women in their 50s are really loving life, the women in their 60s even more. I'm like, this is very optimistic landscape. It's really hopeful.
I'm going to look at all my friends now, my elders, my orca elders.
Listen to the orca elders, and also we're trying to learn to be orca elders for those around us. I mean, we don't want to pull the ladder up behind us, do we? We want to help all the women coming through as well.
Talk to me about the corporate world, how you blew that up. You blew up the boardroom and twirled away. And what was it like for you? And what do you feel about the work life for midlife women?
I'm really proud of my years in boardrooms. I think what I tried to do after the first experience where I was in a very old school male-dominated boardroom, because the company ITV had acquired my production company, and it was very old school back then. This is going back 25 years. But once I found my way a bit more in boardrooms, I think what I was able to do was look around me at what had not been given to me and people like me and people not like me, what was not being given to people not like the board members, and how could we do that better for people. So I feel like I had quite a lot of, they say a fulfilling career is a mix of pleasure and purpose. And if you're having one or the other, and maybe sometimes both, in like 80% of your working life, you're probably going to be quite fulfilled. And I think I did have pleasure or purpose in a lot of that life. But like all things, it reached its sell-by date. And I just think once I started finding my voice, and that for me is a key part of second act, I had a capacity to use my voice and sound eloquent and all the rest of it. But now the voice I'm using is really my voice, and everything I do, you know, what drew people to me, I think, on Instagram was that it really was my voice. I didn't look good on all the reels. What I said wasn't particularly clever or thought out. It was just, this is what's happening for 30 seconds of my day. And that's what I'm here for from other women. And I think that's what women are here for from us. So for me, it was a really important time. When the day I left Boardroom Life, I was also the only woman on the board. By chance, there had been lots of women along the way, but it had so ended up again. I was like, that shouldn't be possible, that across a 25-year span, you can come as the only woman and leave as the only woman. Different boards, different times. So I think that I'm really proud of what I did in corporate life, but it feels really nice not to have a boss now, I have to say. I'm like, and that's nice.
Yourself.
Yeah, we're our bosses.
Yeah.
And we're, you know, sometimes good bosses, sometimes a little tired and angry bosses, but we're doing it for ourselves.
I love that. One of your shows is called Invisible.
Yes.
Why?
Well, that was the year that I turned 50 and gave up the day job. So that year, you may or may not remember, there will be listeners who do remember this for sure. So there was a B-list French celebrity, a French man called Yann Moix. And he made global headlines the year I turned 50 because he, a 50-year-old white man, said that women over 50 are unattractive. He was like, and invisible. So he said there's nothing extraordinary about the body of a woman over 50. He said the body of a 25-year-old woman's extraordinary. And he said, you know, women are invisible once they reach 50. He got his comeuppance in the form of every badass 50-year-old celebrity in the world posting pictures of them in a bikini, posting pictures of the book that had won an award, you know. So he got fully put in his box. Madness. But that year I was working on a show that was not going to be called Invisible. And then I was like, you know what? I'm calling my show Invisible. And my whole show that year, it was about, also I'd gone to Iceland that year and nearly died in a snowstorm in a car crash. So it suited the story as well, because I was like, well, I nearly literally became invisible to the world, lost in a snowstorm on my own. But it's also the year I turned 50, and I will not go gentle into that good night because some French man says I should. I was like, I'm going to be more visible than you have ever seen, monsieur. So that's why I did it as a kind of little bit of a, you know, let's see, shall we? That French man, and all men like him.
It is. I hope it is an attitude which is dying out, because...
Do you think it is, though? I don't know. Well, I mean, it sounds like it is for you on Bumble, because there's a load of 25-year-olds going, this woman is plenty extraordinary.
It is wild.
Yeah.
It's 24 to 28-year-old
But look at you,
trainers.
you're a goddess, of course.
With my journalist hat on, I'm like, that's very kind of you, but can I ask why, sir? Can I ask why?
Never ask why, or not till afterwards.
Yeah, well, no, I'm like, no, you're very sweet, but no, thank you.
But I agree with you. I don't particularly find that an appealing thing and anything other than a bit of a laugh to talk about it. But I do think, you know, of course, you're beautiful at this. And we're, you know, why should we not be absolutely as beautiful in our 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s? And it's really a relief when we realise that. You know, that's why I think, you know, I always worry when people are like, oh, how to get rid of your crow's feet and how to make your neck smooth. If you want to get rid of your crow's feet and make your neck smooth, brilliant. Good luck to you. I applaud you. If you don't, I applaud you equally. Let's just live how we want to live.
And you are just power, and the magnetism is sexy, and that doesn't age.
Exactly, and also hopefully the most attractive thing about us is, you know, what we've read, what our opinions are. You know, you really, certainly for keepers, you would hope that those are the things that really are going to sustain. Yeah. So, and I see it, you know, you'll see it when your girls are a little bit older. I see it with my 25-year-old daughter. She's very sorted about kind of her self-esteem and what she's given away and what she's not and why. It's nice.
People are sniffing around on the snappy chats.
I bet
with
they
my
are.
ladies.
Yeah, I bet they are.
You're
going to be tiger mum.
You know what? They're very empowered, and I'm really proud of them.
My daughter was the same at that age.
It's
I was
quite
like,
the opposite of how
we maybe were.
One generation, they have a completely different attitude, and that makes me a little bit hopeful.
Yeah, I think it does make me hopeful as well. I remember I used to feel sometimes conscious about my body or thinking, and I remember my daughter saying, not in a sort of arrogant way, she's, you know, just a sort of down-to-earth girl, or woman, but she said, you know, Mum, by the time anyone's lucky enough to get anywhere near my body, they better be pleased to be there. Like, and I was like, oh, amen. That's
empowered.
And it wasn't her going, I think I look like a supermodel. It was just her going, yeah, you know, that's By that point,
you have access to me. You are lucky.
You're lucky.
That is how it should be.
It should be how. And I was like, yeah, whatever's happened, somehow we have produced little bundles of self-esteem.
It makes me
even
proud.
when perhaps, I don't know about you, but I didn't always have so much.
Not at all.
No, it's taken me a long time to get a bit.
Only now, literally, past couple of years.
The past hour, we're getting self-esteem. We're giving it to each other.
I love it. We have another thing in common. You became a single mother at 44.
Yeah.
I blew up my 26-year marriage at 45.
Yeah, I was actually a lot younger than that. I was 33, I think, when I became a single mum. So I raised my kids virtually from the start as a single mum. Yeah.
Can you tell me about the experience of solo parenting in midlife? I am co-parenting, but as Paloma Faith says, ha 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 ha.
Yeah, God bless her.
Co-parenting. Ha ha.
Yeah.
Ha, ha. But tell me, what was that like?
Well, it was the kids were very young. So we've had over 2 decades to work at all of this. I got given some very good advice where I was the primary carer. The kids live with me. Their dad is Dutch, but he still lived in London and he lived around the corner. And
you do 50-50?
I would not say 50-50, no. I think it was definitely more I was doing more than 50%, definitely. They were staying at my place at least 80%, maybe more. Mental load, all of that stuff, I would say pretty classic woman's experience. So I was doing plenty. But 2 things I would say for anyone who's going through this, and you're obviously more recently into this. One thing, someone said to me early on, a wise orca said to me, work out what he is never going to do for you, whatever that is, like money, doing this thing, whatever it is, and work out what he should reasonably or might reasonably be expected to do. Not what you wish he would, but what do you think he actually is going to do and what is he not going to do? Let go of the things he's never going to do as of right now, because you'll just get yourself in a froth of resentment and exhaustion. And Carrie Fisher said, resentment's like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. So I was like, I am not drinking the poison. So let go of that and then really hold him to account for the things that you think he realistically is going to do and make sure he does those. And it took a bit of doing, took a bit of letting go. It's not always going to be fair, but that was fairest for me. So I just let go of certain things and was like, it's not in his wheelhouse. It doesn't matter whether I think that's good, bad or indifferent. It's never happening. So I can either exhaust myself about this and scream about it and turn the kids against him, or I can just go, okay, but these are the things he does. So I was very lucky to have that wise counsel. And 20 years on, with adult children, he and his partner have a younger child together, and we're a really happy blended family. They have a key to my house. Their kid goes to school at the end of my road. He named my dog. We have Christmases and birthdays together, and he's my kid's little brother. So of course he's part of my family. He's their brother. So we now have a sickeningly harmonious blended family. Their dad was the one I ended up without a dog sitter the other day at last minute, and I had to go out of town for work, and he came and spent the day at the house in order to help me out. And when I got back, there was really nice food that he cooked and nice fresh mint in a jar for some nice fresh mint tea. And I was like, you know what? We've got there maybe a different way to others, but I'm pretty grateful.
Oh,
yeah. So you've got it all to play for.
I would like to be a little bit more French. That kind of like, how is your lover?
Yeah, exactly.
Just easy breezy.
But easy breezy takes time. They say it takes a lot of effort to make things effortless.
Yes,
and we're now effortless 20 years on, but that's not because there wasn't effort and upset along the way. So now I feel very equitable about the whole thing. But I'm looking back now way beyond the hard. But you're in the hard yards.
I'm in. You know what? I feel I've turned a corner. My friends will laugh because I say it weekly. But I've turned the corner, and I think what you're saying is absolutely, I surrendered.
Yeah.
It's acceptance and surrender.
Letting go. I read this lovely little meditation thing yesterday, and it was about letting go. And if you're going through really choppy waters and you're trying to really hold on to a branch on the bank and, you can't, it's going to really exhaust you. Whereas if you just let yourself go with the river, you might get pulled under at a certain point. But if you relax, you'll come back to the surface. Yeah. And I was like, my arms are hurting from holding that branch so tight. I think it's time to let the river flow with us.
And I think it's very good for the children not to see you angry and resentful and bitter and like...
Yeah, especially about the other parent. It's hard. I mean, I'm not trying to be judgy. I think we all just get through it however we can. And I applaud anyone who just gets through all this. But
it's easy to be
really
grateful.
hard. And also rage. I think female rage.
It's
We're told,
frightening.
it's frightening. But we're told we shouldn't have rage. We are allowed to have rage. Obviously, not. We don't want to rage and scare our children. But women are allowed to have anger and rage. It's not in the male domain exclusively, and it's just how we deal with it. But of course, we're angry sometimes. I've been plenty angry in my life. It's just what we do with it. That's all.
Yeah. I love that. Give yourself permission to be angry, but also to forgive. Not even forgiveness. It is surrender.
I do think, yeah, or I would even go as far as to say it's forgiveness. And when people say forgiveness, it sounds like you're colluding in what that person
not passive,
did.
is it?
It's not passive, and you're not saying that thing was fine. You're simply letting yourself off the hook of resentment and going, do you know what? I don't want to put my emotional energy into hating on this person or thinking about this. I've got better things to do. So the forgiveness is not an act of charity apart from to yourself, I think. Forgiveness is a big...
It's the gift to yourself.
And also, if we start to forgive others, I think a lot of women have a really harsh inner critic and a harsh inner voice. And I think if we start to model forgiveness and letting go, there's some chance that we might also be a little bit nicer to ourselves and go, well, you know what, even if I did totally mess that thing up, I forgive myself. I did my best.
You know what? It was the gateway drug.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I was actually upset with him.
Yeah.
I was more upset with myself.
Yeah.
And the things I allowed.
But you see,
that's painful.
That's really painful. And also, you know, we're always doing our best. You were doing your best at every stage of that. And we can all look back. Hindsight's a great thing, isn't it? But I think... yeah, we should hold ourselves to a less high account and just celebrate. I mean, what about all the things you did do those years?
Yeah.
Which were awesome and celebratory.
And the sweet times and the fun times.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's a celebration. And Lizzie Pickering, another elder author, she said a 26-year relationship is not a failure. Your marriage was not a failure.
It's an immense achievement.
Look, it's an achievement.
Yeah.
At the time together. And lessons learnt.
Well, we also, I think it's really hard. We forget the bits. It's really hard for us to take on the good bits of ourselves. Yeah. One of the in my book, at the end of every chapter, I have 3 sort of takeouts that are sort of slightly tongue-in-cheek, but they are helpful. And one of them is, it's just a list of really lovely words. And I invite the reader to just pick at least 3 of those words that apply to themselves and write a bit about why they apply to themselves. Because how often do we ever... go, do you know what, I'm really eloquent, or I'm independent, or I'm kind? I don't think we say that. We just go, yeah.
That.
So
what a beautiful practice.
Yeah, I do that every night as part of my journaling. A part of it is writing down 3 positive things about myself, not just things but making myself right.
I love that.
3 things, even if the thing is I love my dog, or something that isn't or it could be I'm, whatever. But it could be big or it could be small, but just something nice. 3 nice things.
I'm going to tell my girls to do that.
Yeah.
Tonight. Let's instill a new habit.
Yeah.
From their new auntie.
There you go. They got their new auntie.
Their new auntie. Stroke Orca elder.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a beautiful
I'm a
thing
good
to
auntie
do.
Orca. Yeah, I give good auntie Orca.
I mean, tell me, that's a lesson I will be instilling in my children tonight when I speak to them. What is the biggest lesson your children have taught you?
Well, they've each taught me different things. My son, ironically, has probably taught me more about feminism than anyone else in the world because of his the subverting of a lot of things we excuse in human society are because we're like, well, it's just a man's way to do this and it's just a woman's way to do that. And actually, when you look at nature, that's not true. So he's really helped me debunk a lot of the myths surrounding why humanity can behave in the way it does and how we forgive things based on gender. So my son, ironically, has been a massive lesson to me in feminism and also in the fact that different does not mean less. Having a child who's neurodivergent has taught me, that there's huge power in not being the typical. And my daughter, well, she's taught me all about woman-to-woman love. I mean, I have a really very, very blissful relationship with my daughter. And for a woman who grew up not knowing how to be a girl or a woman, I now, with my daughter, occupy the most lovely woman-to-woman space. And I just gave her the first book that I've actually given to anyone, because it's not out for another couple of weeks, was to her. And I wrote in it, how could I not give this book about empowering women and a manifesto to women? How could I not give the very first one to the woman I most love in the world?
Don't make me
yeah.
cry. That's beautiful.
So that's what she's taught me, is how to engage woman to woman and love and support and bring each other up. Yeah.
I love that. And in a funny way, because you were, like we were talking about you going to a boys' school you weren't infected by misogyny in the way so many of us
Weirdly,
were.
I probably wasn't.
Yeah.
Also because I think the teachers, because I was in a boys' school, I think everyone just forgot I was not a boy. So I think I was actually just treated like the boys because no one was making concessions for me. I mean, I was playing the boys' sports. I was doing the boys' subjects. No one was saying, yeah, I just was like a boy.
You were kind of gender neutral in a really weird way.
I was very ahead of my time. Gender neutral in the 70s. There
You
was
were
nothing,
gender neutral in the
nothing was
70s.
happening in a gender neutral space
You were
then.
just, Cally.
And maybe that's why I really don't get it when people my age are so funny about, well, what's all this, gender? It's like, what's your problem with people identifying with whoever and however they want to feel? Why do you think it has to be binary? And I find it very odd that people my age can have such a problem with this.
I agree.
I
It's
just
very
think,
it's because they're...
it says a lot about them.
I was never... My mum was very ahead of the curve as well, and she brought us up. You would say gender neutral. She dressed my brother in girl. If it was cute in a little jumpsuit, she's like, I don't care. She put him in a little girl, and then she gave me trucks. And my mum was ahead of the curve.
She really was.
So we were we played with each other's toys. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a big deal to her. And I always rejected the things that people, girls should be this, boys should be that. I've always rejected that, and so being called whatever you want, it's whatever your pronoun is because you're rejecting society's label on you.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
And it's funny that people have a problem with that. Also,
And they
I always
don't like it.
And I always think it's not hurting you either. Why do you care so much? What's your problem?
They want to pin you to whatever stereotype they have.
And I don't understand why we don't realise that over the generations there would have been so many things we now take for granted, where back when that was first a thing, there'd have been other people going, oh, why are we doing that? So I think, can't we realise society evolves and let the next generation coming through ask for what they need and let's meet their needs? That's reasonable.
Why should a lady have a bank account?
Exactly. Why should she have the vote?
Why does she have the vote? It's
exactly.
ridiculous.
We got to move on,
Why
guys.
do you have to have new... What do you mean? Exactly.
I just think,
it's embarrassing.
and we should notice that life moves on, language moves on, people move on. Yeah. And we have much as I don't want to be underestimated as a woman in my 50s, I don't suppose someone in their 20s wants to be underestimated by a Gen X. So let's give them the courtesy of not doing what we are asking them not to do to us.
I love that. And talk about generation. I'm a proud Gen X. I love being Gen X.
Yeah, I do as well. It's cool. It's the coolest one.
We are the forgotten. My daughters called me an elder millennial to irritate me because they know how proud I am to be Gen X.
I'm very proud to be Gen X. Are you, because I'm only on the cusp of Gen X at one end, are you right in the heart of Gen X?
I'm 78.
Yeah, so you're full, because I think if I'd been born much earlier, I'd be a boomer.
Yeah. No, you're
I'm glad I'm Gen X.
We're Gen X.
No offence, boomers.
Gen X woman. I'm doing X with my hand because I'm so proud of it. You're also now experiencing what a lot of Gen X women are going through, empty nest.
Yeah.
How does that feel? How are you approaching that?
Oh, my goodness.
It's a different phase of parenting.
It's really, they say, don't they, that you give your kids roots and you give them wings. Mm-hmm. It's such an odd thing, parenting, but it's the only job in the world, isn't it, where the better you do it, the more redundant you're going to be. And if that's the case, I've done it really well because mine have flown really far. My son lives down in Devon, which is 5 hours from where I live, and my daughter lives in Madrid. She's lived abroad for 8 years now. She left home at 18 to go and study abroad, and she's always lived abroad since. And I see her a lot, but she lives a long way from me. And so it's, for me, they didn't just go around the corner. So friends of mine who've got kids around the corner, they'll be like, oh, I might see my daughter for tea on Sunday. I'm like, oh, that would be nice. I do know that friends of mine say that because my children are further away, my son comes home a lot and I see him regularly. And my daughter and I do just really lovely things together. So we just came back from Copenhagen and we'll meet somewhere cool, or I'll stay with her in Madrid, or she'll come home to London. We have really quality time together. But honestly, it is also a grief. And I thought I'd dodge the bullet because I've always had a career. I've always been the breadwinner. I've always lived my life outside of being a mum, even though being a mum is integral to my life. And I thought, I'll be fine. And oh my goodness, how wrong I was. How I really had a pretty big old collapse when they left home. I mean, the wheels came off the bus quite a bit. It was like, I felt like I went through the stages of grief. It was almost like I guess no one has died, but a part of your life has died. And then like a scraggy old, craggy old rock face, beautiful flowers start to come through, and that's what it's like. So all this amazing stuff has come from it. I've never had a more fulfilling career than I have in Empty Nest. So, and friendships and everything else. But yeah, it's a big change. It's a painful shift.
Ooh.
Yeah. Don't rush it. Don't rush it.
Don't rush it. I had a power dinner with one of my girls, my Orca elder daughter, and she had a mocktail, I had a cocktail, we had sushi, and I had a flash forward of what it will be. I was like, oh, I see the woman you're becoming. And it's going to be power lunches with you.
Yes, it will be timed. You'll get 27 minutes because she's got a board meeting to go to. So she'll be like, yeah, could you? And why are you wearing that? Yeah, come on, I've got. And she'll have her PA paying the bill for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I do think it's also the joy of the adult relationships with them. I mean, I hugely treasure both of my children's presence in my lives, and I think as an aspiration, if we can even be half the human our children have grown up to be, we're doing okay.
You did a good job.
We've done a good job.
You did a good job.
Yeah.
Are you excited to turn 60? And what has your 50s meant to you?
I do feel really proud of the fact that in 4 years I will, God willing, be 60. And my 50s has just meant much happier time than my 40s, if I'm honest. There's this, idea of this U-shaped happiness curve, which I very much do believe in. Looking back at it, this is, you do or don't want to hear this research, but it was all over the press recently that exactly your age, 47, is the age where we apparently are at our least happy in life.
Yeah.
The good news is that means it's about to start going up, 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 up.
I'm waiting for that. I had a very bad day yesterday.
Well, you're good. That was it. That was peak bad day. Now
I think
you're on
that
the up.
It was like I had a very bad day yesterday, and it's like, could the upswing start now, please?
It's starting right now. Yeah. As of now, officially, the upswing has been thrown open for you.
Interesting. 47.
Yeah, that's what the most recent research said. But there's been years and years of research saying that we get progressively less happy from our 20s through to our 40s, and then 50s, 60s, 70s, we go up, up, up. That has definitely been my experience. So anyone in their 40s who's struggling along with perimenopause or whatever, I would say my lived experience is the 50s are great. I'm loving them. I'm really proud of my age because it's a privilege, isn't it? Every year it's better than the alternative. We're getting older. That's a privilege. And I actually think, I feel that being in my 60s will be full of possibility. And I try in every show I do of my tour, I try and now bring the 60-somethings in the room in, because every time I bring in a 60-year-old woman for some crowd work, something quite amazing happens. And I'm like, they are welcome. So I always have material about women in menopause, and I talk to people in the audience, but I've authored in opportunities for 60 plus women to have a word in my show because they've got stuff to say.
They are not invisible.
They really aren't invisible, and they are so full of joy. I mean, my God, they have got some of the joy that I think we sometimes forgot to have when we were doing the work, the kids. They've got the joy, a lot of those women. Yeah.
They're not in the grind in the same way. And
no.
They can come up for air and smell the roses.
Yeah, and excuse my swearing, but if we think we only have so mmany fucks left to give, you've got to meet these women. They've got none left to give. They are out there, loud and proud. And my director of my show is in her 40s, and she's, I think, 12 years younger than me. And she said, this has been such a hopeful eye-opener working on this show, because your crowds, she said, what I hear, what I see happen on stage, the stories I hear off stage. The best thing about my job is meeting my audience who are women in midlife. And I end up crying at every single show because of the stories I hear and the encounters I have with midlife women. It's a massive gift.
Power.
Yeah, real power.
I love
power
that.
and possibility.
Power and possibility,
yeah.
PP.
Yes.
What are you doing differently now you're in your PP second act
my
era?
PP, well, I'm doing a lot more PPs, that's for sure. I'm doing one right now.
Yes.
So what I'm doing differently is, for the first time in my life, I'm happily single. For now, consciously, mindfully wanting to be single. And that's been the case for over a year now. I've never, ever felt like that before. I definitely will date again. I love dating. I love romance and love and sex. But for now, I'm very happy working on my relationship with myself. So that feels extremely liberating. Focusing on other relationships in life, not romantic ones, feels blissful right now, a little sabbatical. So that's very new. I am living on my own for the first time in my life. I always lived with family, with flatmates, with kids, and now I live on my own. And I am really enjoying the freedom of that at the moment. But I'm also enjoying, just at a time when you wonder if opportunities will keep coming your way. And we work in an ageist environment, obviously beauty, that's got an ageism tag on it. Media and what I do has also, got ageism involved in it. And I love the fact that things keep happening at this stage in life that I never dreamt could possibly happen. And so I think I am much more open to possibilities and the world. And crucially, I am open to failure. So I don't know if when I got the book deal, I didn't know if I could write a good book. Many times I thought I couldn't. Now it turns out I can. Well, I didn't know that. So yeah, I feel like this is the time for letting go, surrendering and seeing what might be possible. I think a lot is possible.
That's so exciting that life can surprise you.
It does surprise you. I mean, it surprises you whether you like it or not, doesn't it? And if we're trying to keep it in a vice-like grip, then the surprises can feel frightening. And it's natural to be scared of change and the unknown. But I think it was Voltaire, the 18th century French philosopher and writer, said, uncertainty is an uncomfortable position, but certainty is an absurd one. And once we let go of our wish for control and certainty, which is inevitable, we have to let it go. Why not enjoy the ride a bit more? So I'm enjoying the ride a lot more.
Yeah, I love that. Just let go. Yes, because I have been a control freak. And I think that comes from a lot of different things. And there is no control.
I feel like, as we discussed before we started recording as well, we're kind of sisters in a lot of things. And I absolutely same thing. And the reason we're perfectionists, control freaks, high achievers, it all came from childhood strategies that we needed. But strategies reach their sell-by date. So we can change our strategies, even if they helped us for a long time. Maybe they're not helping us now.
And it is that new strategies, new things. And talking about something new, what has been your biggest learning since starting your second act?
I think, well, a couple of big learnings. One is how appealing and important vulnerability is. So I think I used to think, because I do a lot of corporate speaking work, probably a couple of times a week. I'm on a stage in front of often thousands of people, being an inspirational speaker, and realizing that vulnerability, even in those environments, is really, even just knowing your own vulnerability and being authentic is so much more, brings people in. So realizing that the chinks in the armor are what is appealing rather than trying to hide them. And tying into that, nobody knows what they're doing. Everybody thinks they're going to be found out, apart from your daughter, who knows what she's doing. But everyone
and has a spreadsheet ready.
Yeah, but apart from that one person in the world, but really, we don't know most of us are muddling along. Most of us are messy, and I can sit here knowing what's going on inside me and look at you going, well, you've got it sewn up. Look at you. You look beautiful. You're doing this. But because all I can see is the outside, and the only inside I know is my own inside. So I think realizing that we absolutely, it's a collective experience. Everything is messy, and far better our own imperfect stories than what the world is telling us should be the perfect one. Let's write our own stories and let's be as messy as we need to be.
I love that.
Yeah.
Be messy. One of my daughters, she took a selfie and she put it on her Snapchat and she went, Mummy, it's so embarrassing. People making fun of me because I had like crazy, my hair looked weird. I said, babe, it's gone in 24 hours. Everyone is too busy focused on their own messy lives. It's like people aren't looking as much as you think they are because they're dealing with their own crazy.
Nobody cares. I do try and tell myself that. Like, I've always been very conscious of my body. I was quite overweight as a kid. I've always really struggled with that. And I realised it was not long ago. I was with we lived some of the time in Amsterdam, and we were out on the water near where we live, where you can swim. And I didn't have proper sort of swimwear with me because it was suddenly like a really hot day. It wasn't. My daughter is never anywhere without swimwear, but I didn't. And I just ended up getting in my underwear in this, not right in the centre of Amsterdam, but definitely in a public area where people swim. And I was like, I do not care if someone sees me in my big Bridget Jones knickers and my horrible bra, and who cares? Yep, I felt great next to my perfect-looking 25-year-old daughter. But yeah, I did. It felt great. It felt very liberating. And do you know what? No one even gave me a second look because no one cares.
It's your head.
Yeah.
You're thinking everyone's looking at you.
Yeah. No one cares.
Apart from thinking how foxy you looked.
Exactly. No, that day foxy would have been a stretch as an adjective. But yeah, I looked fun.
You looked fun.
I looked like a fun person. Yeah.
So why did you decide to write the title, which I'm completely obsessed with, might get it tattooed somewhere.
Yeah.
Namaste, motherfucker.
Namaste, motherfuckers. And may I say that you looked very good in the baseball cap beforehand.
Thank you so much.
Oh no, it's my pleasure. I love a bit of namaste motherfucking. So the reason my podcast is called Namaste Motherfuckers. So for years I've had that as a kind of brand out in the world. And when I came to think about writing a book, it was the publisher who said, you really should use that title because it's a great title and it sums you up quite well. And the book is a manifesto for women. It looks at empowering women, particularly midlife women, and in particular the power of the second act and how we might reinvent and all the possibility there is. And I do a bit in my show when I try to drill down, because for me, Namaste Motherfuckers is just a gut feeling why that's funny and why I get it. I get why that's funny, but not everyone necessarily would have that visceral feeling about those two words together. Some people might not like those two words together. So in the show, one of the things I do, and it's always a high point of the show, is I write down some of the things that are going on in the world or some things that have happened that week or whatever. And I say to the audience that I am a combination. I'm like a Venn diagram of Namaste. I'm very relaxed, intelligent, emotionally. I want to let things go. I practice well-being things. On the other hand, motherfuckers, it's like messy rage. What the hell's going on?
I want to burn your house down.
Yeah, want to burn your house down, punch a hole in the wall, eat, pray, punch a hole in the wall. That's the vibe. So then I say I want to do an audience vote, and I read all these things out, and some of them are just like, people who don't know how to cue. Other things are things that are more charged, like, the things that I know people will have a strong view, like a man repeating a thing a woman says in a meeting and getting the credit. But I get my audience, who obviously are not all women, but they probably are 80% women, screaming out either namaste or motherfuckers, depending on the thing. And it's just such a nice part of the show, because to get to just scream those two words out, and it tends to always end up that motherfuckers wins, but it's because I pick ones that make people go ah. So to me, it's the two sides of womanhood as well, because on the one hand, we are all really emotionally intelligent, good. We're forces for good. Most women I know are forces for good, but we're messy, we're angry, we got shit going on. So I feel like those two words sum it up well.
I love that.
Yeah,
it is the truth.
It's the truth that and we're not one thing. And why should we be? And why should we hide the messy bit, this is probably the most sweary bit of a show you've ever had. But why should we hide the motherfuckers bit as well? We can be namaste and motherfuckers.
And the most interesting bit is when you get to the namaste sliding into the motherfuckers.
And it's funny, that bit as well. Like, I don't know about you, but when you're with your friends, and the bit that's really funny is the stuff that's gone wrong and the mess. Like, it's lovely when our friends get a book deal or a modelling contract or their kid gets into Oxford, but it's even more lovely when shit doesn't go so well.
It's a weird, crazy stuff.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's the bit you want to hear. You're really here for those stories, and they make me feel better if I know that, because my life's messy and crazy, and if everyone else is.
I'm just dating for my friends at this point.
Yeah, well, you become the vicarious.
I'm just doing it for. They say do it for the storyline.
My friends used to absolutely love it when I was online dating. Oh my God, I'd be the most popular woman down the pub.
Wild West. I'll have to show you my folder of filth, babe.
Yes, well, I believe that, and it's probably more filthy than when I was last doing online dating, because I think the world's moving on.
It's eye-watering.
Yes.
But if you could share some advice from the second act, which you are in now and loving, and go back in time and tell the younger version of yourself, or our younger listeners, or the people at home, what would you say to them?
You are enough, exactly as you are, who you are, how you are. You're lovable and enough exactly as you are. And when you're in doubt, if you talk to yourself a bit more like you would talk to a friend who was going through something difficult, and just shine a light of just be kind to yourself, nurture yourself. You don't need to drive yourself harder if things feel difficult. You can go gently. There's not much gentleness in the world right now. And I think we owe it to ourselves and each other to be kind and gentle. But that kind and gentle has to start with ourselves. So just go easy on yourself and just treat yourself as you would anyone else that you love. And I think you won't go far wrong.
I love that. My therapist said that to me.
Selflessly. So you had it for free from me. She probably charged you 100 quid for that.
She said, how would you speak to your inner child? And I was like, get it together, bitch.
Yeah,
and
there
she's
you
like,
go.
okay, how would you speak to a friend? And I was like, you got this. It's going to be okay.
She needs to say, how would your daughter parent you? And then you'll have the answers. Because
get it together.
There you go. That's where that voice is coming from. It's not an inner child, it's a child. It's an actual child.
You know what? They are really loving and they're really sweet, and you learn a lot. They're just little mirrors, and it's really scary.
Oh, it really is. It's like little. My son always. They say that autistic kids, don't have high IQs or empathy, but my son is a hyper empath, and he would always notice. He spooked me. Like, he would notice things about me. Even now, living 5 hours away, he always knows if something's going on. He'll call me and go, "Mum, I was just thinking, are you okay? Is everything okay today?" And I'm like, "What? How did you know that?" not that people who don't have children grow absolutely as much as people who do,
Yes.
but it's just a different type of
Just in your fucking
growing.
face.
It's like relentless growing.
It's relentless growing when you don't want to.
It's like, I don't want to grow. I just need a.
Can I just lie down and have some rosé? No, you're going to grow today.
You're going to grow today, and you're going to have to deal with this shit. So so much as I always say to people when they're like, "And what do you find helps with empty nest?" I'm like, just get them back for a weekend and you'll be glad you've got an empty nest.
Off you go, love.
Yeah. As soon as they've been home for more than 4 minutes, I'm like, oh no, I like my empty nest.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
It's time for your second act, where we read emails and voice notes sent in by you, my wonderful listeners. This one is from Sam. Hi, Ateh. I'm high up in my company, but since turning 50, I feel like I've noticed a real shift in how colleagues treat me at work. There's a renewed focus on digital natives, agile, young teams, and a fast-paced environment. How do I balance my love for my job with this outdated perception that my best years are behind me, or the feeling that I'm becoming less relevant at work? Cally, what do you have to say?
Well, I really relate to those feelings and why that might be difficult, first of all. So I hear you. Is it Sam, did you say?
Sam.
Yeah, I hear you, Sam. I would say a couple of things. One is just to check as well. Sometimes we need to get out of our own way. And sometimes we can assume the thing that's going on is about age or about gender or about something that we are familiar with in terms of microaggressions that have happened to us. So it's based on evidence. But just always to check, is what's happening right now something that's excluding me or ageist, or might there be something else going on? Is there anything here that I might not be noticing? And might I be making assumptions that are upsetting for me? So just checking what's really going on. And then also, again, getting out of our own way in terms of how we might be at the forefront of all of those things. So I know that I am far more savvy about digital stuff and social media than either of my children, because it's what I do for a living. So I get it, I know it, I get the algorithms, I'm all over it. My kids are not, even though they're just consumers of it. So we also could still be at the forefront of those worlds, and there'll be stuff that my dad is does loads on Instagram, he's 81. So I think we should not assume we can't be in those digital worlds, but we're also wise enough, our wise minds are wise enough to say maybe there's stuff that Sam does not want to have to learn to do. And that is why, as a wise old orca, Sam delegates that to someone who's more interested than she is and moves on to the things that Sam is best designed to do. So, but most of all, I think we also need to get out of our own way and just really make sure what's going on is what we think. Because maybe it's not. Maybe there's still possibility there.
There is possibility. And also be excellent, Sam. I always find the best way to beat prejudice is to be the Beyonce of anything you're doing.
Oh, I love that. Let's get that on a T-shirt. Be the Beyonce of anything you're doing.
It's like, oh, really? Yes, you have a young team, but guess what? I just Beyonce hair whipped.
Yes.
That presentation.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
And it's really hard to argue with just being really good.
Just doing it. And Sam is, we can tell, can't we, even from the question that Sam is good. Sam is good at the job.
Yeah.
I also think that we do need to, Kirsty Walk said in her menopause documentary, which is a good 10 years old now, it was like the first big one there was on national TV about menopause. And she starts it by saying, menopause happens to women at the peak of our powers. So, Sam, you are at the peak of your powers. You are getting into wise orca territory. Lucky company. That's what I say. It's a huge gift.
Power up.
Yes, and it's a gift for the company that they have Sam. Yeah, lucky them.
Yeah, so I hope that helps, Sam, and thank you so much. And Cally, that was wonderful. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Cally, thank you so much. This has been the best time.
I've loved talking to you.
I want to come to your show and I want to shout Namaste, motherfuckers.
You can come to my show and shout Namaste, motherfuckers any night. You Namaste, motherfucking, please.
This has been wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Woo! Thanks so much for listening. If you've got a dilemma or question you need answering, email me at secondactpod@hellomagazine.com. And don't forget to rate us if you enjoyed the show. And you can find all the best second act wisdom from our experts via the Hello Magazine website. I'll see you next week.